Hello everyone, and welcome to today's story. This is a story about Tom, a man who moved into a new apartment and discovered how a little kindness can open big doors. The story is called The New Neighbor. It was a cold Sunday morning when Tom carried the last box into his new apartment. He was tired, his back hurt, and the elevator wasn't working. The building was old but quiet, and that's exactly what he wanted. Tom had just moved to a new city for a new job. He didn't know anyone here. As he closed his door, he heard footsteps in the hallway. An old woman passed by, holding a small bag of groceries. She looked at Tom for a moment, then nodded slightly, but said nothing. Tom gave a quick smile, but she didn't smile back. He sighed and thought, great. I guess people here aren't very friendly. The next morning, Tom woke up early and went to the local cafe. He bought a cup of coffee and walked back to the apartment building. As he entered the lobby, he saw the same old woman struggling with her keys. Her grocery bag fell, and oranges rolled across the floor. Without thinking, Tom put down his coffee and helped her pick them up. She looked surprised. "Oh. Thank you, young man," she said softly. Tom smiled. "No problem. Here you go." She took the bag, then noticed his cup. "You dropped your coffee," she said. Tom looked down. His cup was lying on the floor, coffee everywhere. He laughed. "Well, I guess that's the price of being helpful." For the first time, the woman smiled, a small, warm smile. "My name is Mrs. Lee," she said. "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Lee. I'm Tom." Over the next few days, Tom often saw Mrs. Lee in the hallway. Sometimes she was watering her plants. Sometimes she was feeding a small stray cat that liked to visit the building. Each time, Tom smiled and said, "Good morning." At first, she just nodded. But soon, she started smiling back. One evening, Tom found a note taped to his door. It said, "Thank you for your kindness. Please come by for tea. Mrs. Lee." Tom hesitated. He wasn't sure what to expect, but curiosity won. When he knocked on her door, the smell of green tea and baked bread filled the air. Her small apartment was cozy and full of plants. As they talked, Tom learned that Mrs. Lee had lived in the building for over 30 years. Her husband had passed away 5 years ago, and most of her family lived abroad. She told him stories about the neighborhood, about the bakery around the corner, and about how the city had changed. Tom listened, smiling. For the first time since moving, he didn't feel lonely. A few weeks later, winter arrived. The snow fell thick and white. One morning, Tom noticed that Mrs. Lee's door hadn't opened for 2 days. Worried, he knocked gently, but there was no answer. He called the building manager, and together they checked inside. Mrs. Lee was fine, just caught a small cold and couldn't go out. Tom went straight to the store, bought soup and medicine, and brought them to her. She smiled weakly and said, "You didn't have to do that." Tom replied, "Neighbors look out for each other." From that day, their friendship grew. Sometimes she baked cookies for him. Sometimes he helped her carry heavy bags. And every time they met, they exchanged a smile. One evening, Tom came home from work and found a small note on his door again. It said, "You have made this building feel young again. Thank you for your smile." Tom laughed softly and looked down the hall. Mrs. Lee was standing there, waving. He waved back. And in that moment, Tom realized something simple yet powerful. A smile is the best way to say hello. It costs nothing, but it can change everything. Because friendship often begins not with words, but with kindness. Thank you for listening to The New Neighbor. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.